the master of ceremonies cat, as she calls him, Monkus Trap, who introduces the show, who...
Monkey Trap.
Shut the
I enjoyed this more than Sonic. Because Sonic is really bad.
Yeah, very.
And not in a fun way.
Yeah.
Me, who liked Aladdin. Hello everyone, Scrivener here.
And Michaela, again. Yeah.
This will be the last video, unfortunately, that we do together in person for a while.
For a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly.
You're leaving in like a couple days.
Yeah, I'll be gone by the time this is out.
It's like especially sad because we don't know when we'll be able to see each other again, what with all of this stuff going on.
You're not alone in being alone, and it's okay to feel sad, even if you're not practiced at it like us, and it's okay for us to feel sad about it, even though we've done it a bunch.
We're here because you love Cats, the musical.
Yeah, we let the cat out the back there. Cats!
Cats! You're a longtime fan of the musical Cats.
Going on 13 years.
And you have been very, very hesitant to watch
The 2019 film.
Obviously it was like the internet's biggest joke of 2019.
History's greatest monster. Yesterday I showed you the 1998 filmed version of Cats, which is filmed as if it were the stage production at the time, and you enjoyed it.
I did!
All I wanted when the Cats movie stuff came out was for Cats to just disappear into obscurity and just leave me to enjoy it in peace on my own. Sadly, that was not to be. I know I'm weird, I know Cats is weird. The film makes it more weird.
Somehow, with more narrative, it's more weird.
We'll get to it, but I think you found that watching the staged production meant that you appreciated what the film was trying to do, even when it failed in some ways.
Oh my god, just a completely different viewing experience. We didn't even have to get 10 minutes in and I already knew at that point, like, wow, I would be having a meltdown right now if we hadn't just watched the musical and if I didn't have this context for what it's about and like what it's meant to be.
Before anything else, I do want to recommend a video by the channel 12 Tone, who primarily talks about music theory, but one of my favourite videos of his is one where he just decides to devote a video to the original production of Cats, the making of. It gives you a good background into why Andrew Lloyd Weber wanted to do this and how he did it, and it was weird from the beginning. And Judi Dench was meant to be there and she wasn't. Let's start at the very beginning. Cats premiered in London in 1981, Broadway 1983 I believe, ran a very long time in both of those places until 2002 in London. I first saw it when I was 16 in 2007 on the UK tour, and since 2007 I have seen it 11 times, I think. I love it for various reasons. The general broad aesthetic, atmosphere, the way the ensemble inhabit their characters. It is my favourite Andrew Lloyd Webber score. Also on a technical level, I really enjoy the orchestrations. I really enjoy the Prophet 5 synths that are all over it. And my favourite cat is Gimbleshanks, the railway cat. At the very least, I have been very pleased to see has been pretty warmly received, as much as anything in the wretched film has.
You basically described it to me as the filmed version is...
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber trying to put on the perfect ideal of what the stage production was at the time.
Picking people from different casts.
All over the world, including people who were no longer in it, like Ken Page, who most people will know as Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas, originated the role of Old Deuteronomy on Broadway in 1983, using an 80-piece orchestra. It's a heightened version of even the stage production. There are extra CGI effects and visual effects, and the lighting is brighter, everything's a bit more just so it looks good on screen. Something that you expressed that I hadn't really fully thought about but makes a lot of sense is it really is distilled musical theatre. It's variety.
Yeah.
It's vaudeville with a little bit of a framing story.
This is not so much a musical as much as it is just musical theatre. It's sung through. Really the plot is the cats all come together one night a year to do this thing, and they introduce themselves until one of them dies. That death is not sad. It's not like a depressing show.
I think it shifts tone pretty well, which is something I don't think I can say about the film, even though it follows basically the same structure.
Yeah.
It is a staging of poems by T.S. Eliot, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, from the 1930s.
It's not really about a greater story. This is about watching people who are really, really talented dancers and singers leap around in fun, cool costumes with cool makeup, and I'm just watching them be really good at the thing they're really good at. And like, that's for my entertainment.
Yeah.
And then it ends.
Yeah.
And there is a very tiny story, like we've said, but like, it really doesn't matter very much.
A common thread seems to be that Cats fans, recognise that there is very little narrative and don't try and defend it against that.
And I don't think it needs to, is the thing.
Even within what story there is, it's about feelings, it's about memory and happiness.
The thing about Cats is that it's just what it is. I think when you're watching the stage production, whether that's a filmed version or when you're watching it live, I think that's very clear. Like, I don't think it really takes very much for you to get into the right headspace of what this is supposed to be.
Unless you're like really opposed to it or whatever. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing.
We talked about this a little bit in the Phantom of the Opera video, like the believability of theater and how you're willing to suspend a lot more disbelief when you're watching something like as a live theatrical performance. You can stretch your imagination to accommodate the more creative elements of a stage play.
And especially when you see Cats like properly live, it's in front of you and all around you.
It's good. It makes more sense when it's
Staged.
when it's on stage, because
And you imagine what it'd be like to be in the audience.
just because of the expectations that you have when you come to something like that. And I enjoyed it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Fun fact, this is completely unrelated, but just before we move on to the movie, when I was in like 4th or maybe 3rd grade, I remember that the 5th graders at my elementary school put on a shortened production of Cats for a general assembly. I just wanted everybody to know that's a thing that happened to me.
I was very charmed when you told me that.
I just feel so bad for the teachers. I mean, Cats is good because all of them are really, really good.
Yeah, Cats relies on the quality of the performers as triple threats, and especially singers and dancers.
Elementary schoolers are usually neither, so that was a very bold choice to whoever made that decision. Don't know if it was the right one.
Fair play to them.
And as we say that, we move on to the movie.
Fair play to Tom Hooper, I guess.
Yeah.
He tried.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's actually not that bad.
Especially if you have the context. Maybe it is horrible.
Oh, no. If you don't know what to expect from Cats and if you've never seen it, it's terrible. But like, having just watched it and then watched this one, I was like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be like this. This is totally normal.
For us, that meant that we could move on from just being aghast to actually trying to critique it on its own terms.
Yeah, and I really do. I agree with Jenny.
Magic Cat Jenny on YouTube.
Is a friend of ours. Paige and I met her at VidCon, man, back in like 2017, I think. Whew. Years. She's a huge Cats fan, and her biggest critique is really just that the designs are just bad.
And she has a couple of videos about the film. They're good supplementary material to this video. They're good videos.
And I mean, I 100% agree with that. Just because
the design is the worst thing.
The design is the worst
Absolute
thing.
worst thing.
I mean, really the worst thing about the designs are the faces, because sometimes they nail the faces and they look pretty seamless, and sometimes they just don't.
The thing is, the faces are always real faces. They're always the actors' faces. The thing that makes it problematic is how they blend the green screen suits into the real faces.
The ones that looked the best, the most consistently, are the ones wearing clothes.
Because they have more body to them, because they have more appearance of fur. The thing about the original John Napier costumes, not even the original, because the original ones, let me tell you, the original designs for Cats in 1981 were god-awful. They improved gradually through the 80s, and they hit what we now see in 1998, in about the early 90s. They have more body, they have more thickness, they have more presence and fur. It's actually quite hard to describe why the stage costumes work I think it's easier to describe how the movie costumes don't work.
Because the ones that we found to be the most okay were like Judi Dench, and Rum Tum Tugger looked pretty decent.
Jason Derulo.
Yeah. Who we felt like was vastly underused considering, one, how good his London accent was, and two, just how much energy he brought to the character. He disappeared for the rest of the movie. And
especially when you compare it to Rum Tum Tugger's role in the show, he has layers. He's not just a conceited fussy cat from his own song. We'll get to Mistopheles, but this movie was lacking in gay energy as well. The stage production has.
It felt very straight.
It was very straight. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Compulsory Heterosexuality, Rum Tum Tugger, Mr. Mistopheles, boyfriends.
I really had to twist your arm there.
It's not canon, I know, but there is plenty of shipping, and a very popular ship is Rum Tum Tugger and Mistopheles.
Because Rum Tum Tugger sings Mistopheles' song in the second act.
Yeah, and Rum Tum Tugger is a very macho but flamboyant cross between Elvis and Mick Jagger at the time. And Mistopheles is a twink magician. He's a twink magician. When
you said that to me, I thought, yep, that's it.
He is, in his own way, as proud and confident as Rum Tum Tugger is, and that's why they're perfect for each other if you ship them.
I know it sounds like we're making up these names, but we're not. I mean, I don't remember half of the names.
I know all the names because I've been a fan for 13 years, it's hard not to.
So occasionally I'd just turn to you and be like, which one's the MC again? Is it Monkey Paw? Like, that's his name, right?
Monkus Trap. Anyway, the queerness of Rum Tum Tugger and Mistopheles was gone.
Again, Rum Tum Tugger was like, barely in it.
He doesn't get to sing any bit in Old Deuteronomy's song, and he doesn't get to sing Magical Mr. Mistopheles, which is a mistake. Not only because it's what happens on stage, but because, as you said, Jason Derulo is probably one of the best performers in this, especially like stage accuracy. He really has the Rum Tum Tugger energy down, and they did a really good job with his number. And then we get to Mr. Mistopheles, who is a wimp.
That's fine.
It's okay. As Jenny says in her videos, it fits the story that they have, it fits the narrative. But, like Jenny says in her videos, I miss confident Mistopheles. His own song in what would be Act 2 is weakened for it.
I mean, certainly one of the reasons I think for that character change is that they actually try to give it a bit more of a cohesive narrative.
For better or worse.
There is a villain in Cats, in the musical. He and his cronies kidnap
Old Deuteronomy.
Yeah, and then like, literally like 2 songs later, Deuteronomy is back. And it's fine, and McCavity is never mentioned again. And
so thus it makes some sense to have Idris Elba as McCavity drawn out a bit and give him more stuff to do. He's pretty fun for the first bit.
He's fun when he's wearing the coat.
Yeah.
And when he's not just naked.
Which is what it looks like when he takes off the coat.
They matched Idris Elba's fur to his skin tone way too well.
In a way that is disconcerting when he is not wearing his jacket.
That is exactly the word I was going to use. It is weird. Taylor Swift actually did a surprisingly good job.
But I also appreciate that she didn't overstay her welcome.
I guess it's really Rebel Wilson and James Corden that we felt like.
Yeah.
Just were there too long.
And sad and complicated, and we're not going to go super into it because we're both thin. But there's a lot of fatphobic humour that is added to this production, that is added to this film.
Oh my god, like, it just gets into territory of like, oh man, the idea that like fat people are fat because they just can't stop eating, like that's their defining personality trait. Even like Rebel Wilson to an extent had a little bit of that going on with her character.
And also like,
it was odd.
And this wasn't a mistake. I was just listening to a bit of the audio commentary on the DVD, and Tom Hooper did conceptualize this as kind of a morality thing where like each of the cats were representing vices or something, which does not consistently work. Like, what vices is Skimbleshanks representing except like extreme attention to time? I don't know. No.
Yes, the 8th deadly sin.
But he talks about Buster the Jones as being a morality tale against gluttony. And I want to say, with respect to other critics. T.S. Eliot was not a good person in many ways. He had abhorrent views. He was racist, particularly anti-Semitic.
And you can hear that in some of the lyrics.
This is not to say separate the art from the author. I don't think the stage production of Cats is meant to be as divisive as T.S. Eliot seeded into his poetry. And I don't think that a song like Buster for Jones was meant to be mean-spirited in a way that it is shown in the film.
I hadn't really considered until you talked to me about this. I mean, obviously fatphobia has always existed, but the kinds of inflaming of that issue, especially in America.
With the obesity epidemic, fatness linked to health, linked to character. And it's also something we've noticed in watching earlier Simpsons episodes. There are plenty of jokes about Homer being fat, but they're not
the same way that we joke about fatness now.
They're not so medicalized.
For us, it was something that bothered us and took us out of the film because it just continued to be long.
And I think the message of what we're trying to say right here, before we move on, is other thin people, it should bother you too. That being said, the Jenny Anydots section, especially with the skin suit.
Everybody's seen that clip on Twitter. It circulated.
It's unnecessary. It's a too literal interpretation of what happened on stage.
Exactly. I mean, Tom Hooper, I want to believe in him.
He seems to have some kind of passion, even though he gets the names wrong. For people who don't like or don't know Cats, that's fine, but I don't know. Anyway.
I want to root for him, but there were really a lot of things directorially we felt like were kind of shortcomings as well.
And just today we watched the Patrick Willems
follow-up video
in which he pointed out that Tom Hooper can't really film musicals.
He does a lot of close-ups. He does not know how to show dancing very well.
And here's the thing, Andy Blankenblower, I'm pretty sure I said that right, the choreographer for Hamilton, who then reconceptualized some of the choreography for its 2016 revival, did all of the choreography for the film. And I have mixed feelings about how much was kept from Gillian Lynn's original choreography as opposed to fresh, but I'd critique it more if it was filmed correctly.
If we'd been able to see more of it. Honestly, there are a lot of scenes where we don't see them dancing very much.
It's such an integral part of Cats. Here's the thing, there are some really good shots in this. I think most of Skimbleshanks is filmed really well. There are some good wide shots in there and worthwhile close-up shots. But the group numbers, especially with lots of dancing,
are very often filmed very far away.
Very close.
It's hard to pick apart a movie like that, and because of course you can always find places where that's not the case. But overwhelmingly for us, by the end of it, we felt like we hadn't witnessed that much dancing, and it's a musical.
And it's Cats.
And it's Cats. And
known for dancing.
A third of the reason you watch it is the dancing.
I thought Jennifer Hudson was a fantastic Grisabella.
She was so good.
She was really good. She is such a good stage-type performer.
Judi Dench, I think, has a great presence. I think Ian McKellen has a great presence. The woman playing Victoria, whose name I can't remember, is a fantastic dancer.
Francesca Hayward. She is a principal with the Royal Ballet. I really did enjoy Stephen McRae as Skimbleshanks.
Who's your favorite character?
As my favorite character. A good bunch of the cast are actually dancers. Less stunt casting than it might seem.
Even the celebrities, I mean, Idris Elba does a pretty good job with the choreography. Taylor Swift is a good dancer.
Cavity is a fun song and would be even better if they had allowed him to keep his coat on.
I would say that the majority of the sets are real practical sets. They're not CG. And what's interesting is that even from the beginning, we actually felt like the whole film had this kind of glow and softness to it that
Which was good. It was consistency.
It was consistent.
It worked with how the characters looked.
Because it meant that the uncanny valley wasn't that terrible most of the time.
Improved.
It was really just bad when you were just looking at their faces. Everybody has been saying that this film is weirdly horny, and I really genuinely felt like only the first 15 or so minutes was pretty horny, and then the rest of it was fine.
Yeah.
The rest of it was just whatever. I really want to talk about how Rebel Wilson and James Corden kind of overstayed their welcome in terms of their roles. The thing is that they would not have those extra scenes and they would not have that extra dialogue if they were not celebrities. Just the fact that you're a celebrity and it's a cameo doesn't make it a good enough reason for you to expand that role. Unless you're Bernadette Peters and you want to give her a song in Cinderella. That's a different thing altogether. When it's like Rebel Wilson and James Corden and you just keep them in the movie longer and longer and longer just because they're Rebel Wilson and James Corden, that's not good. And I think that the movie really does suffer for it. They would never have done that if they were just, you know, somebody else. That's just sloppy writing. I mean, I also just kind of personally feel like Rebel Wilson does a much better job when she's the star. When she doesn't have to compete with anybody else for attention. That's just my personal feelings.
I think that's true with James Corden as well.
Yeah.
They are both kind of masters of upstaging, and sometimes upstaging isn't appropriate.
I was expecting like a monstrosity of like Lovecraftian horror, and I just didn't get that. And I really think it's because I was adequately prepared and I was given the context going into this film of what it was supposed to be and what it's originally like and how that's what it is, you know? Is it still weird? Yeah. Okay, I just want to say Andrew Lloyd Webber is a weird guy. He's written a lot of weird stuff, and I think people forget that because Phantom of the Opera is really popular.
And he's consistently chosen odd subjects on which to make musicals. Starlight Express is Thomas the Tank Engine fan fiction. Look it up.
He is a weird man, okay? I'm so glad that like this was a kind of weirdness that people really, really loved in the 80s when it came out, because I think it's kind of great. Like, it's very different, and
it is a bizarre synthesis of the elements of musical theatre that makes a package that is odd but successful. I think artistically and absolutely financially.
Ultimately, I think I'd watch maybe the show again. I'm probably not gonna watch this movie ever again.
I would, as a fan, there were elements of the film that I would like to enjoy again.
You were singing along to the songs. It was really cute.
There were also elements of the film that I wish didn't exist and make me sorely miss being able to see the stage production. I don't always need a really great or defined story. Honestly, for me, I'm like all about characters. That's where Cats succeeds if you allow it to, especially on repeat viewings. You can see in the 1998 one that the ensemble are doing work that looks natural. They're inhabiting characters, even if you never learn their names, even if you don't really know what their relationships are. That's a big reason why I return to it. When you know what to expect going in, and when you know, oh, this is par for the course. The movie is not just something that's sprung fully formed, like weird from the mind of like Tom Hooper or something. If you want to watch the movie Cats, go for it. If you are just looking to have a good time with something that's really bad and you don't probably get high and watch it.
Yeah,
drunk.
then this is going to fill that need for you. But like, it's not
you too can giggle hysterically at Skimble spinning
into the ceiling. If that's what you want to do, this is gonna do that for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I don't want people to think that Cats is just like a bad movie all around. Are there parts that are really sloppily written? Yeah. I think most of the dialogue that is added is super weak.
Which is all of the dialogue.
I think that those additions really do weaken it because it tries to do something, again, a little bit more grounded that just makes it not as fun.
Cats isn't meant to be grounded. This has been Michaela and Sarah spoil your drunk or high viewing experience with Cats 2019. You're welcome. Watch it however you like, if you like. I mean, I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I gave it 3 stars.
If you don't have the context, it will be a Lovecraftian nightmare.
Yeah, just be warned. Thank you for watching.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. In the comments below, let us know your thoughts if you ended up seeing Cats or if you are a Cats fan. Did you like the movie? If you don't like Cats,
I thought you were going to say, or if you are a cat, please meow in the comments under the video. And if you liked this video, subscribe to The Princess and the Scrivener for more videos on Disney, intersectional feminism, pop culture critiques, and more. Musical
theater, and more. One of us, and by one of us I mean Paige or I, not one of us.
Sadly.
We'll see you real soon. I love you.
I love you too.
Getting a little off topic here.
Sure, I do.
My point, you're supposed to support me. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to the... And if you enjoy... What the f*** am I saying? And if you liked this video, subscribe for more...
I can't believe you've done this.
I showed that vine to her for the first time like 2 months ago and she loves it. She quotes it all the time.